Her name was Sarah. She was my neighbour for many years. Sarah was a quiet woman, always kind, always smiling. But after her son died, everything changed. He was her only child, and they were very close. They talked every day, laughed together, and went for long walks. One day there was a car accident. Her son Daniel did not survive. I still remember the scream she gave when she heard the news. It was a sound full of pain. After that day she did not come outside much. Her smile was gone, and her eyes were always red. I tried to talk to her, to bring her food or sit with her, but she just shook her head. "He will come back," she said once, looking at his photo. I did not know what to say. She was lost in her own world, a world where her son still lived. A few weeks later, I saw her walking to the mailbox every morning. She had a small letter in her hand. I watched from my window. She did this every day, always with a letter. I got curious. One day I asked her, "Sarah, who are you writing to?" She looked at me and said, "To Daniel. I send him a letter every day. Maybe one day he will answer." My heart broke a little when I heard that. I wanted to tell her the truth, but I knew she was not ready. Each morning she wrote a letter. She used blue ink and pretty paper. She wrote about her day, about the weather, about the flowers in the garden. She wrote like he was still alive, like he was just far away. And every day she mailed the letter, always with hope. Sarah's letters became a part of her life. Rain or shine, she went to the mailbox. Some neighbours laughed behind her back. They said she was crazy, but I didn't laugh. I saw the pain in her eyes. I saw a mother who just couldn't let go. One morning I sat beside her on the porch. She was folding a letter slowly. I asked, "What did you write today?" She smiled a little and said, "I told him about the bird that made a nest on his window. He would have liked that." Her voice was soft and warm. I watched her write every word with care. She talked to him like he was still there. "He is still my son," she said, "and I am still his mother." I nodded. I didn't argue. Sometimes love is stronger than truth. Weeks passed. Her letters filled a box under her bed. She never skipped a day. Her handwriting was always neat. She put little drawings on the corners, hearts, flowers, stars. It was her way of keeping him close. One day I asked, "What will you do if he never writes back?" She looked at me and said, "That's okay. I just want him to know I'm still here, that I love him, that I miss him." Her hands were shaking, but her words were strong. That night I couldn't sleep. I thought about my own children. I thought about how strong love can be. Sarah taught me something. She showed me that even broken hearts can still beat, and sometimes letters help them beat a little longer. One rainy evening, Sarah walked slower than usual. She held her umbrella tight. Her coat was too thin for the cold. I offered her tea when she came back. She smiled and said, "Thank you, but I must write first." Even rain could not stop her letters. I watched her from my window. She sat at her small desk. The light was dim, but her face was calm. She held her pen like it was something special. She wrote with love. Her hand moved slowly, like every word mattered. Sometimes I heard her speak as she wrote. "Do you remember your red bike?" she whispered once. "It's still in the shed." Her voice was full of memory, full of hope. It was like she could still see him riding in the yard. Days went by, and Sarah seemed more tired. She walked less, she talked less. But the letters didn't stop. One each day, always the same way. She sealed them, kissed the envelope, and placed it in the mailbox, like a ritual, like a prayer. One afternoon she didn't come outside. I knocked on her door. She opened it, but her eyes were red. "Are you okay?" I asked. She nodded, but didn't speak. I saw the letter on the table. It was written, but not sealed. She had written, "I miss you more today." That was the first time she didn't mail a letter. She just held it in her hand for hours, looking at it, holding it close to her chest. I sat with her in silence. We both listened to the rain, and I realized sometimes silence speaks the loudest. The next morning Sarah looked different. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tired. She said, "I had a dream last night." He smiled at me. Her voice was soft, almost like a song. I asked her what the dream meant. She said, "Maybe it's time to stop writing." But she didn't stop right away. She wrote one more letter. This time it was longer. She talked about everything. The garden, the birds, the weather, and then she wrote, "And I love you. I always will. But I think I must let you go now." She folded the paper slowly. That afternoon she walked to the mailbox like always, but this time she cried. Not loudly, just quiet tears that rolled down her cheeks. She stood there for a long time, holding the letter. Then she dropped it in. Her hands shook a little. Her heart was heavy. The days after that were quiet. She did not write any more. She cleaned her house. She walked in the yard. She talked to me more. We drank tea in the sun. She still looked sad, but something had changed. She was letting the pain breathe, letting it go. One evening she gave me a small box. Inside were all the letters. She said, "I never had the right address, but it helped me to write." I held the box gently. It felt like I was holding pieces of her heart. I told her I would keep it safe. That night she looked at the stars. "Maybe he sees me now," she said. "Maybe he always did." I didn't say anything. I just stood beside her. The wind was cold, but she didn't seem to feel it. Her heart was full of love, even after goodbye. Sarah started to smile again. Not all the time, but sometimes. She would laugh at the birds in the yard or smile at the flowers in bloom. The pain was still there. I could see it in her eyes, but it was softer now, like a quiet song instead of a scream. She began to paint again. Her hands moved slowly, brushing colour onto white paper. "He used to love my paintings," she said. "Maybe I will paint one for him." I watched her bring life to the canvas, one flower at a time. It was her way to heal. One day she painted a picture of him, a boy with brown hair and a wide smile. He stood near a tree with a sky full of light. She looked at the painting for a long time. Then she whispered, "He is not really gone. He is here in my heart." She still walked to the mailbox sometimes, but not with letters. She walked to feel the wind, to see the world, to move her feet. She told me, "Every step I take now, I take for both of us." Her love had not ended, it had simply changed. Sarah began to talk to other people in the town. She helped in the school, she gave her paintings to the library. She said, "If I still have love, I want to share it." Her days were no longer full of sadness. There was light again in her eyes. Watching her, I learned something. Grief does not go away, but love helps carry it. Sarah never forgot her son, but she found a new way to live, with his memory in her heart and hope in her hands. Now the house is not quiet anymore. Children come to learn painting. They laugh, they talk, they play with colours. Sarah smiles when she sees them happy. She still misses her son, but she feels peace now. Love does not end. It changes and it stays. The last letter is in a small box. She keeps it near her bed. Sometimes she reads it before sleep. She closes her eyes and says, "Good night, my boy." She knows he is gone, but not far. He lives in her heart forever.